occasion, the Blessed One was wandering in the Kosalan country with a large sangha of monks. Almost in all of the suttas they say that he walked around with 500 monks. And eventually he arrived at the Kosalan Brahmin village of Uposatha. There the Blessed One stayed in the God's tree grove, the Sala tree grove, to the north of Uposatha. Now on that occasion the Brahmin Canki was ruling over Uposatha, a crown property abounding in living beings, rich in grassland, woodlands, waterways, and grain, a royal endowment, a sacred grant given to him by King Pasenadi of Kosala. The Brahmin householders of Uposatha heard the recluse Gotama it goes to another sutta. The recluse Gotama, son of the Sakyans, went forth from the Sakyan clan, has been wandering in the country of the Vidayans with a large sangha of monks, with 500 monks. Now a good report of Master Gotama has been spread to this effect. The Blessed One is accomplished, fully enlightened, perfect in true knowledge and conduct, sublime knower of worlds, incomparable leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, awakened and blessed. It says enlightened, but I don't like that word so much, because if I tell you something you don't know, you've been enlightened. But the Buddha was awakened. He wasn't walking around in the dream state anymore. He saw how things actually work. He declares this world with its gods, its maras, and its brahmas, this generation with its recluse and Brahmins, with its princes and its people, which he has self-realized with direct knowledge. He teaches the Dhamma, good in the beginning, good in the middle, and good in the end, with the right meaning and phrasing. And he reveals a holy life that is utterly perfect and pure. Now, it is good to see such arahats. When the Brahmin householder of Uposatha set forth from Uposatha in groups and bands and headed northward to the God's tree grove, the Sala tree grove. Now on that occasion the Brahmin Canki had retired to the upper story of his palace for his noonday rest. Then he saw the Brahmin householders of Uposatha setting forth from Uposatha in groups and bands and heading northward to the Sala tree grove. Then, when he saw them, he asked his minister, "Good minister, why are the Brahmin householders of Uposatha setting forth from Uposatha in groups and bands and heading northwards to the Sala tree grove?" "Sir, there is the recluse Gotama, the son of the Sakyans, who went forth from the Sakyan clan, who has been wandering in the Kosalan country. They are going to see the Master Gotama. Then, good minister, go to the Brahmin householders of Uposatha and tell them, sirs, the Brahmin Canki says this. Please wait, sirs, the Brahmin Canki will also go to see the recluse Gotama." "Yes, sir," the minister replied, and he went to the Brahmin householders of Uposatha and gave them the message. Now on that occasion 500 Brahmins from various states were staying in Uposatha for some business or other. They heard the Brahmin Canki, it is said, is going to see the recluse Gotama. Then they went to the Brahmin Chanki and asked him, "Sir, is it true that you're going to see the recluse Gotama?" "So it is, sirs, I'm going to see the recluse Gotama." "Sir, do not go to see the recluse Gotama. It is not proper for Master Chanki to go see the recluse Gotama. Rather, it is proper for the recluse Gotama to come see you. For you, sir, are well born on both sides, of pure maternal and paternal descent, 7 generations back, unassailable and impeccable in respect of birth. Since that is so, Master Chanki, it is not proper for you to go see Master Gotama. Rather, it is proper for the recluse Gotama to come see you. Sir, you are rich with great wealth and great possessions. You, sir, are a master of the 3 Vedas with their vocabularies, liturgy, phonology, and etymology, and histories as a 5th. Skilled in philology and grammar. You are fully versed in the natural philosophy and in the marks of a great man. You, sir, are handsome, comely, and graceful, possessing supreme beauty of complexion, with sublime beauty and sublime presence, remarkable to behold. You, sir, are virtuous, mature in virtue, possessing mature virtue. You, sir, are a good speaker with a good delivery. You speak words that are courteous, distinct, flawless, and communicate the meaning. You, sir, teach the teachers of many. You teach the recitation of the hymns to the 300 Brahmins students. You, sir, are honored, respected, revered, venerated, and esteemed by King Pasenadi of Kosala. You, sir, are honored, respected, revered, and venerated and esteemed by the Brahmin Pokarasati. You, sir, rule over Uposatha, crown property abounding in living beings, a sacred grant given to you by King Pasenadi of Kosala. Since this is so, Master Chanki, it is not proper for you to see the recluse Gotama. Rather, it is proper for the recluse Gotama to come see you. This is the kind of etiquette that they were really into, especially the Brahmins. They thought because they were the highest caste, they were the spiritual ones. And they thought anybody coming to visit, they had to come to them first. Now, at the time, the rulers of most of the countries were either Brahmin caste or they were from the warrior class. And they were actually pretty level on the in the caste system. They were both considered quite high. And Gotama was from the warrior class. So, when this was said, the Brahmin Chanki told the Brahmins, "Now, sirs, hear from me why it is proper for me to go see Master Gotama." Excuse me. "And why it is not proper for Master Gotama to come see me. Since the recluse Gotama is well born on both sides of pure paternal and maternal descent, 7 generations back, unassailable and impeccable in respect of birth. Since this is so, it is not proper for Master Gotama to come see me. Rather, it is proper for me to go see Master Gotama. Sirs, the recluse Gotama went forth, abandoning much gold and bullion stored away in vaults and depositories. Since the recluse Gotama went forth from the home life into homelessness while still a young, black-haired young man, endowed with the blessings of youth in the prime of life. The Brahmins, what they did was they would be born in a Brahmin caste. They would study and know the Vedas very well. They would take on a family. They would have children, a wife and children. And then when they got to be this is tough, as old as I am, when they got to be in their 60s, then they would give all of their wealth away to their family, and then they would become recluses. So to hear that Gautama Buddha renounced the life and took on robes as a young man was very unusual. It's not the way it was done. That wasn't the tradition. So he was pretty highly respected because he had all of this wealth and all of this power that was going to be given to him by his father, and just said, no, I don't want it. Which is pretty amazing in itself. Sir, the recluse Gautama shaved off his hair and beard, put on the yellow robe, and went forth from the home life into homelessness, though his mother and father wished otherwise, and wept with tearful faces. Sirs, the recluse Gautama is handsome, comely and graceful, possessing supreme beauty of complexion, with sublime beauty and sublime presence, remarkable to behold. Sirs, the recluse Gautama is virtuous, of noble virtue, of wholesome virtue, possessing wholesome virtue. Sirs, the recluse Gautama is a good speaker with good delivery. He speaks words that are courteous, distinct, flawless, and communicate the meaning. Sirs, the recluse Gautama is a teacher of teachers of many. Sirs, the recluse Gautama is free from sensual lust and without personal vanity. Sirs, the recluse Gautama holds the doctrine of moral efficacy of action, the doctrine of the moral efficacy of deeds. He does not seek any harm for the line of Brahmins. That's an important distinction. He didn't try to convert anybody. All he tried to do was give them the Dhamma. So he wasn't going to be a problem for the Brahmins that wanted to keep on going like they had been for however long. And this is an important thing to come out with this. Sirs, the recluse Gautama went forth from an aristocratic family, from one of the original noble families. Sir, the recluse Gautama went forth from a rich family, from a family of great wealth and possessions. Sirs, people come from remote kingdoms and remote districts to question the recluse Gautama. Sirs, many thousands of deities have gone for refuge for life to the recluse Gautama. Sirs, a good report of the recluse Gautama has been spread to this effect, that the Blessed One is accomplished, fully awakened, perfect in true knowledge and conduct, sublime knower of worlds, incomparable leader of persons to be tamed, teacher of gods and humans, awakened and blessed. Sirs, the recluse Gautama possesses the 32 marks of a great man. Sirs, King Bimbisara of Magadha and his wife and children have gone for refuge for life to the recluse Gautama. Sirs, King Pasenadi of Kosala and his wife and children have gone for refuge for life to the recluse Gautama. Sirs, the Brahmin Pokarasati and his wife and children have gone for refuge for life to the recluse Gotama. Sirs, the recluse Gotama has arrived at Upasada and is living at Upasada in the God's Tree Grove, the Sala Tree Grove, to the north of Upasada. Now any recluses or Brahmins that come to our town are our guests, and guests should be honored, respected, revered, and venerated by us. Since the recluse Gotama has arrived at Upasada, he is our guest, and as our guest should be honored, respected, revered, and venerated by us. Since this is so, sir, it is not proper for Master Gotama to come see me. It is proper for me to go see Master Gotama. Sirs, this much is the praise of Master Gotama that I have learned, but the praise of Master Gotama is not limited to that, for the praise of Master Gotama is immeasurable. Since Master Gotama possesses each one of these factors, it is not proper for him to come see me. Rather, it is proper for me to see Master Gotama. Therefore, sirs, let all of us go to see the recluse Gotama. Then the Brahmin Canki, together with a large company of Brahmins, went to the Blessed One and exchanged greetings with him. With this courteous and amiable talk was finished, he sat down at one side. Now on that occasion, the Blessed One was finishing some amiable talk with some very senior Brahmins. At the time, sitting in the assembly was a young Brahmin student. He was young, shaven head, 16 years old, and he was a master of the three Vedas with their vocabularies, liturgy, phonology, and etymology, and the histories as a fifth. Skilled in philology and grammar. Philology means speech, basically. He was fully versed in natural philosophy and in the marks of a great man. Now for somebody that's 16 years old to memorize all of the Vedas, that's a big, big work. And to do that at 16 is pretty remarkable. That says that he has a very, very sharp mind. When I met the Mingun Sayadaw in Burma, he had been put in the World Book of Records for the best retentive memory. He had memorized 12,000 pages of material. He had taken, you know how you go to college and you have to take a 4-hour test and you come out and oh man, your mind is just wiped out. He took a 10-hour test every day for 30 days. And he got more than 90% correct on everything. Now this guy had a magnificent mind. It took him 19 years to do that, to be able to memorize all of this material. So this is somebody that at 16 had memorized all of the Vedas. It's pretty impressive. While the very Brahmin seniors were conversing with the Blessed One, the student broke in and interrupted their talk. Then the Blessed One rebuked the student thus: "Let not the venerable student break in and interrupt the talk of the very senior Brahmins while we are conversing. Let the venerable student wait until the talk is finished." Now the way things work, and this works with the monks too, is the senior monks talk together, the junior monks sit and listen. So to have a young student that's 16 years old cutting in, that's why the Buddha said, you don't know what you're talking about, boy. let me hear what these other guys have to say. So he kind of admonished him for breaking in. When this was said, the Brahmin Canki said to the Blessed One, "Let not Master Gotama rebuke the Brahmin student. The Brahmin student is a clansman. He's very learned. He has good delivery. He's wise. He's capable of taking part in this discussion with Master Gotama." When the Blessed One thought, surely, since the Brahmins honor him thus, the Brahmin student must be accomplished in the scriptures of the three Vedas. Then the Brahmin student thought, when Master Gotama catches my eye, I shall ask him a question. Then, knowing with his own mind the thought of the Brahmin student, the Blessed One turned his eye towards him. Then the Brahmin student thought, the recluse Gotama has turned towards me, suppose I ask him a question. Then he said to the Blessed One, Master Gotama, in regard to the ancient Brahmanic hymns that have come down through oral transmission and in scriptural collections, the Brahmins come to the definite conclusion, only this is true, anything else is wrong. What does Master Gotama say about this? How then, student, among the Brahmins is there even a single Brahmin who says thus, I know this, I see this, only this is true and anything else is wrong? Well, no, Master Gotama. How then, student, among the Brahmins is there even a single teacher or a single teacher's teachers, back to the 7th generation of teachers, who says thus, I know this, I see this, only this is true and anything else is wrong? No, Master Gotama. How then, student, the ancient Brahmin seers, the creators of the hymns, the composers of the hymns, whose ancient hymns that were formerly chanted and uttered and compiled, the Brahmins nowadays still chant and repeating what was spoken, reciting what was recited. Did even these ancient Brahmin seers say thus, we know this, we see this, only this is true and anything else is wrong? No, Master Gotama. So, student, it seems that among the Brahmins, there's not even a single Brahmin who says thus, I know this, I see this, only this is true and anything else is wrong. And among the Brahmins, there is not even a single teacher or a single teacher's teacher, back to the 7th generation of teachers, who says thus, I know this, I see this, only this is true and anything else is wrong. And the ancient Brahmin seers, the creators of hymns, the composers of hymns, even these ancient Brahmin seers do not say thus, we know this, we see this, only this is true, and anything else is wrong. Suppose there were a file of blind men, each in touch with the next. The first one does not see, the middle one does not see, and the last one does not see. So too, student, in regard to their statement, the Brahmins seem to be like a file of blind men. The first one does not see, the middle one does not see, and the last one does not see. What do you think, student? That being so, does not the faith of the Brahmins turn out to be groundless? You've got to believe. The Brahmins honor this not only out of faith, Master Gotama, they also honor it as oral tradition. Student, you took your stand on faith, now you speak of oral tradition. There are 5 things, student, that may turn out in 2 different ways here and now. What 5? Faith, approval, oral tradition, reason, cogitation, and reflective acceptance of a view. These 5 things may turn out in 2 different ways here and now. Now, something may be fully accepted out of faith, yet it may be empty, hollow, and false. But something else may not be fully accepted out of faith, yet it may be factual, true, and unmistaken. Sounds like the Dhamma, doesn't it? Again, something may be fully approved of, may be well cogitated, may be well reflected upon, yet it may be empty, hollow, and false. But something else may not be, fully approved of, well cogitated, or fully well reflected upon. Yet it may be factual, true, and unmistaken. Under these conditions, it is not proper for a wise man who preserves truth to come to the definite conclusion, only this is true and anything else is wrong. But Master Gotama, in what way is there the preservation of truth? How does one preserve truth? We asked Master Gotama about the preservation of truth. If a person has faith, student, he preserves truth when he says, my faith is thus. But he does not yet come to the definite conclusion, only this is true and anything else is wrong. In this way, student, there is the preservation of truth. In this way, he preserves truth. In this way, we describe the preservation of truth. But as yet, there is no discovery of truth. If a person approves of something, if he receives an oral tradition, if he reaches a conclusion based on reason cogitation, if he gains a reflective acceptance of a view, he preserves truth when he says, my reflective acceptance of this view is thus. But he does not yet come to the definite conclusion, only this is true and anything else is wrong. This too, student, in this way too, student, there is the preservation of truth. In this way he preserves truth. In this way we describe the preservation of truth. But as yet there is no discovery of truth. In that way, Master Gotama, there is the preservation of truth. In that way one preserves truth. In that way we recognize the preservation of truth. But in what way, Master Gotama, is there the discovery of truth? In what way does one discover truth? We asked Master Gotama about the discovery of truth. Here, student, a monk may be living in dependence on some village or town. When a householder or householder's son goes to him and investigates him in regards to 3 kinds of states. In regards to states based on greed, in regards to states based on hate, in regards to states based on delusion. Now remember, greed, hatred, delusion. I like it, I don't like it, I. What are we talking about here? We're talking about craving. Every time you see lust, hatred, and delusion, it's another way of describing craving. Are there in this Venerable One any states based on greed, such that his mind obsessed by those states, while not knowing he might say, I know, or while not seeing he might say, I see, or he might urge others to act in a way that would lead to their harm and suffering for a long time? As he investigates him, he comes to know there's no such states based on greed in this Venerable One. The bodily behavior or verbal behavior of this Blessed One are not those of one affected by greed. The Dhamma that this Venerable One teaches is profound, hard to understand and hard to see, peaceful and sublime, unattainable by mere reasoning, subtle to be experienced by the wise. This Dhamma cannot easily be taught by one affected by greed. Now, again, we go back to be experienced by the wise. What are we talking about? Dependent origination, seeing it and understanding it. When he has investigated him and he has seen that he is purified from the states based on greed, he next investigates him in the states, in regard to states based on hate. Are there in this Venerable One any states based on hate, such that his mind is obsessed by those states? He might urge others to act in a way that would lead to their harm and suffering for a long time. As he investigates him, he comes to know there's no such states based on hate by this Venerable One. The bodily behavior, the verbal behavior of this Venerable One are not those of one affected by hate. And the Dhamma that this Venerable One teaches is profound to be experienced by the wise. This Dhamma cannot easily be taught by one affected by hate. When he has investigated him and has seen that he is purified from states based on hate, he next investigates him in regard to states based on delusion. Are there in this Venerable One any states based on delusion, such that with his mind obsessed by those states, he might urge others to act in a way that would lead to their harm and suffering for a long time? As he investigates him, he comes to know there's no such states based on delusion in this Venerable One. The bodily behavior and the verbal behavior of this Blessed One are not those of one affected by delusion. And the Dhamma that this Venerable One teaches is profound to be experienced by the wise. This Dhamma cannot easily be taught by one affected by delusion. What is delusion? I am that. That's the personal belief. When he has investigated him and has seen that he's purified from states based on delusion, then he places faith in him. Filled with faith, he visits him, he pays respect to him. Having paid respect to him, he gives ear. When he gives ear, he hears the Dhamma. Having heard the Dhamma, he memorizes it and examines the meaning of the teachings he has memorized.
Yeah, okay.
Do you understand what I'm getting at here?
Yeah. Give us the list.
You want the list? Sutta 111?
Yeah.
This particular Sutta, 95.
That's a hard one, okay.
38.
38?
Yeah.
21.
21.
Oh,
Got that done?
11, 95, 38, 21.
111, 95, 38, and 21.
And there'll be a few others I'll throw in
There's a couple
there.
others.
Is that the preferred order? Assuming I can't memorize them all in one day.
The order doesn't matter.
Okay.
Now, when I was in Germany, one of my students came from Holland, and she had asked me about memorizing things and what I thought was good. I started giving Sutta number 38 about dependent origination, and she had it almost completely memorized. Made me happy. What's the advantage of memorizing it? Because you have that knowledge right at your finger. You're carrying it with you. You don't have to stop and, like I do, and have to look in the book.
Which one did she memorize, or have almost memorized?
38.
38.
That's one I...
Santi,
Son of Sati.
son of the fisherman.
Oh. Okay.
No, you say, well, I don't want to memorize it. Read it over every day. Read it out loud every day. You'll have it memorized in a short period of time. If you make a big deal out of it, say, oh, I have to sit down and memorize this, you'll never do it. You'll get tired of trying to memorize it and you'll quit. But it's read the sutta every day. Now, that reading 4 suttas at one time is not that big a deal. It doesn't really take that long.
out loud.
Out loud.
Monty, do you have these online with your...
Okay, there's a section on read out loud suttas on the Dhamma talks. There's a section, but I'm
They
not.
are
I'm
not
sure
tweaked.
They're not tweaked
They're
yet.
just-
When I get home, I have all of the Majjhima Nikaya, and a lot of it is tweaked. I have to still go through and change a few things, but I will get them to you, I promise. Some of the language that's used with this, I prefer to change. Anyway. When he examines their meaning, he gains a reflective acceptance of those teachings. When he's gained a reflective acceptance of those teachings, enthusiasm springs up. When enthusiasm has sprung up, he applies his mindfulness. Having applied his mindfulness, he scrutinizes. Having scrutinized, he strives. Resolutely striving, he realizes with the body the ultimate truth and sees it by penetrating it with wisdom.
So, he sees the body. Does he mean
He's
the physical
talking
body?
about the breath. This is Bhikkhu Bodhi and his influence from the Visuddhimagga.
Oh, okay.
In this way, student, there is the discovery of truth. In this way, one discovers truth. In this way, we describe the discovery of truth. But as yet, there is no final arrival at truth. In that way, Master Gautama, there is the discovery of truth. In that way, one discovers truth. In that way, we recognize the discovery of truth. But in what way, Master Gautama, is there the final arrival at truth? In what way does one finally arrive at truth? We ask Master Gautama about the final arrival at truth. The final arrival at truth, student, lies in the repetition, development, and cultivation of all of these things that he's just mentioned. Hearing Dhamma, or giving ear, hearing Dhamma, going through and the repetition of memorizing and understanding. What he's really talking about is also the repetition of the 6 R's, the development of your understanding as you go deeper into the jhanas, your understanding and cultivation of being able to see the...
Pull the curtain and make it go down if you're going to make it.
Oh, here we go again.
Yeah.
Famous curtain thing.
There you go. Okay, good. Thank you.
So that's how you come at the final arrival at truth. In this way, student, there is the final arrival at truth. In this way, one finally arrives at truth. In this way, we describe the final arrival at truth. In that way, Master Gautama, there is the final arrival at truth. In that way, one finally arrives at truth. In that way, we recognize the final arrival at truth. But what, Master Gautama, is most helpful for the final arrival at truth? We ask Master Gautama about the things most helpful for the final arrival at truth. Striving is most helpful for the final arrival at truth. Striving with using your 6 R's. And using them often, not only during your sitting practice, but during the day. When you see your mind start to get tight about something, 6 R it. Or become distracted, 6 R it. If one does not strive, one will not finally arrive at truth. But because one strives, one does finally arrive at truth. That is why striving is most helpful for the final arrival at truth. But what, Master Gautama, is most helpful for striving? We ask Master Gautama about the thing most helpful for striving. Scrutiny is most helpful for striving, looking at it deeply. Investigation of your experience. Okay, scrutiny is most helpful for striving, student. If one does not scrutinize, one will not strive. But because one scrutinizes, in other words, you start to understand how this works. You start to see what happens if you put too much energy into it, if you don't put quite enough energy into it. You start to see by the investigation. And as you see more and more plainly, or more and more clearly, the way to do the practice correctly, then you will naturally strive to keep it that way. But because one scrutinizes, one strives. That is why scrutiny is most helpful for striving. But what, Master Gautama, is most helpful for scrutiny? We ask Master Gautama about the thing most helpful for scrutiny. Application of mindfulness is most helpful for scrutiny, student. If one does not apply one's mindfulness, one will not scrutinize. But because one applies one's mindfulness, one scrutinizes. That is why the application of mindfulness is most helpful for scrutiny. But what, Master Gautama, is most helpful for the application of mindfulness? We ask Master Gautama about the thing most helpful for the application of mindfulness. Enthusiasm, having fun. is most helpful for the application of mindfulness. If one does not arouse enthusiasm, one will not apply one's mindfulness. So smiling we could put in there too, couldn't we? What keeps your mind light? What keeps your mind uplifted? The more you smile, the clearer your mindfulness becomes. You start to see when your mind starts to get heavy, and you can catch it much more quickly and relax into that and let it be. Let go of those distracting thoughts and those distracting feelings. So it's real important, and enthusiasm is important. Last night Scott was talking about something that I'd said earlier, having fun. If you don't have fun with your meditation, what's the sense of meditating?
Miserable.
And believe me, I had 20 years of not having any fun at all.
Oh, we had a little fun.
We had some fun, but that wasn't while we were meditating.
After. Especially the last day.
Oh, yeah. But the whole thing is, when you have fun doing something, then you want to keep doing it. And you get really good at it because you're having fun doing it. You become efficient with what you're doing. You see how your mindfulness really needs to be light. It's not a heavy thing. And it's just your observation power. That's all it is, observing what's happening, having a sense of fun with what's happening, and laugh into things. And that changes your perspective from, I am that, I am sad, I am angry, to, oh, it's only sadness. It's only anger. Do I need to hold on to that? No, let's just let it go. That's what enthusiasm does for you. So it's real important to realize that if you do any other meditation retreat with somebody else, they're going to think you're really weird. Because you're going to be sitting there smiling, and every now and then you chuckle, and every now and then you might say something to somebody else. Oh, this is noble silence. You don't talk here. Isn't it true? And you're going to see everybody else with this scowl on their face, and they're trying so hard. How much fun are they having? 0. How much are they suffering? Whole bunches.
Big bunch.
And how much progress are they making?
About the same. But because one rouses enthusiasm, one naturally applies their mindfulness. That is why enthusiasm is helpful for the application of mindfulness. But what Master Gotama is most helpful for enthusiasm? Good question. We asked Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for enthusiasm. A reflective acceptance of the truth is most helpful for enthusiasm. You reflect on what's being taught, and you see the sense of it for yourself, and that gets you a little bit more excited to do it. You start becoming a little bit more enthusiastic. If one does not gain a reflective acceptance of the teachings, enthusiasm will not spring up. But because one gains a reflective acceptance of the teaching, enthusiasm springs up. That is why reflective acceptance of the teachings is most helpful for enthusiasm. But what, Master Gotama, is most helpful for the reflective acceptance of the teachings? We asked Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for the reflective acceptance of the teachings. Examination of the meaning. You don't take it just blindly. You examine, and you examine through your practice. Is this right or not? You start to see, oh, this is right. And then the oh wow is start to happen. Oh wow, this is really right. This is the way it works. This isn't a philosophy. This is real. This is exactly how it works because I saw it myself. So examination of the meaning is most helpful for reflective acceptance of the teachings. If one does not examine the meaning, one will not gain reflective acceptance of the teaching. But because one examines their meaning, one gains the reflective acceptance of the teaching. That is why the examination of the meaning is most helpful for the reflective acceptance of the teachings. But what, Master Gotama, is most helpful for the examination of the meaning? We asked Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for examination of meaning. Memorizing the teaching is most helpful for examining the meaning.
Repetition.
Now, just a minute ago, you use truth rather than teaching.
Yeah, he said truth instead of teaching. He made it,
Sorry.
I know.
I'm just reading this. This is what it says.
Yeah, but before it said teaching, but you translated it.
Acceptance of the
No.
teaching.
This is I'm reading that pretty straight.
Okay.
Some of the other stuff I'm changing around a bit, you see. If one does not memorize a teaching, one will not examine its meaning. But because one memorizes a teaching, one examines its meaning. Now, what are we talking about? We're talking about memorizing suttas? Yeah, okay. But also memorizing what the 5 hindrances are, what the 5 aggregates are, what the 6 R's are, memorizing that. So you can see more clearly. But what, Master Gotama, is most helpful for memorizing the teaching? What do you think? We asked Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for memorizing the teaching. Hearing the Dhamma is most helpful for memorizing the teaching. How many times do you hear me repeat things? Why do I continue? At least that in one talk.
100 zeros.
Mahaka.
So why do I keep repeating things over and over again? So that you'll memorize them. So that you have it memorized, then when you do your practice. Oh, that's what that is. So it really is a helpful thing. And the more you actually pay attention to, well, we're going to get to that next one, I guess. We'll let it go for right now. Hearing the Dhamma is most helpful for memorizing the teacher, student. If one does not hear the Dhamma, one will not memorize the teaching. But because one hears the Dhamma, one memorizes the teaching. That is why hearing the Dhamma is most helpful for memorizing. But what, Master Gotama, is most helpful for hearing the Dhamma? We asked Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for hearing the Dhamma. giving ear. Okay, what does it mean to give ear? It means that you pay very close attention. Now the thing with the reading of the suttas is that if you truly listen to what the sutta says, you can become a sotapanna just by listening. You have to have the understanding of what you're hearing. But you might hear me give some suttas over and over and over again, and you say, oh, I've already heard this, I'm not going to pay much attention, and you start ho-humming around with your mind and not paying close attention to what's being said. The thing that's really magical about the Buddha's teaching is every time you hear a sutta, it doesn't matter how many times you hear it, you're always going to hear something of benefit for you right now. But if you let your mind go and you think, oh, there's so much repeating in this, it bores me to death, I hate this kind of stuff, and you don't pay attention to what's being said, then you're losing a golden opportunity for nibbana to occur for you while you're listening. So every Dhamma talk, there are some times that I take off and just start talking, but almost always I will be reading from the suttas, and I'm doing it for this very reason. One, you know it's not my teaching. And this teaching is so powerful that you can all of a sudden become a sotapanna if you truly understand what's being said. You don't have to meditate to become a sotapanna.
Yeah, excuse me. So that has to go through the cessation when listening?
When you're practicing meditation, yes. When you're listening, no. You don't have to go through the cessation on that one. But I'm always referring to when you're practicing meditation. Very seldom do I talk like this. It's clearing your understanding. And the understanding can go quite deep if you're really paying attention to it and not letting your mind be distracted. That's how Visakha at 8 years old became a sotapanna. An 8-year-old kid, a sotapanna. Because she listened to what the Buddha said and understood what he was talking about deeply. That's pretty remarkable. So giving ear is helpful for hearing the Dhamma. If one does not give ear, one will not hear the Dhamma completely. But because one gives ear, one hears the Dhamma. That's why giving ear is most helpful for hearing the Dhamma. But what Master Gotama is most helpful for giving ear? We asked Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for giving ear. Now, I've read this particular sutta in front of people that were not Buddhists, but were school teachers and college professors and whatnot. And they thought that this was the most brilliant thing they had ever heard, because it not only applies to what I'm showing you now, it applies to any kind of learning. It really does work. Paying respect is most helpful for giving ear, student. If one does not pay respect, one will not give ear. But because one pays respect, one gives ear. That's why paying respect is most helpful for giving ear. In other words, being respectful and actually listening very closely. But what, Master Gotama, is most helpful for paying respect? We asked Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for paying respect. Visiting is the most helpful for paying respect. But Master Gotama, what is most helpful for visiting? We asked Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for visiting. Faith is most helpful for visiting. So what did we just do? We just did a big circle. We started out with faith, and now we're coming back to it. But this time, it's faith with understanding. If faith in a teacher does not arise, one will not visit him. But because faith in a teacher arises, one visits him. That's why faith is most helpful for visiting. We asked Master Gotama about the preservation of truth, and Master Gotama answered about the preservation of truth. We approve of and accept that answer, so we are satisfied. We asked Master Gotama about the discovery of truth, and Master Gotama answered about the discovery of truth. We approve of and accept that answer, so we are satisfied. We asked Master Gotama about the final arrival at truth, and Master Gotama answered about the final arrival at truth. We approve of and accept that answer, and so we're satisfied. We asked Master Gotama about the thing most helpful for the final arrival at truth. Master Gotama answered about the thing most helpful for the final arrival at truth. We approve of and accept that answer, so we are satisfied. Whatever we ask Master Gotama about, that he has answered us. We approve of and accept that answer, and so we're satisfied. Formerly, Master Gotama, we used to think, who are these bald-pated recluses? These swarthy, menial offspring of the kinsman's feet. That's really a major insult. To think of somebody as low as the feet, because the feet are always dirty when you're walking around without shoes, or you're walking around with sandals. You have to wash your feet very often. So it's really considered quite a put down to be called, to be said that that they understand the Dhamma, but Master Gotama has inspired in me love for recluses, confidence in recluses, and reverence for recluses. Magnificent, Master Gotama, magnificent. For today, let Master Gotama remember me as a lay follower who has gone to refuge for him for life. Every time you hear that, that means he has become a Sotapanna.
Wow.
About that. You can attain Nibbana from that. The understanding in that particular sutta is so strong. If you really pay attention. That's another one. Memorize that one.
Oh.
But it's so much repeating, it's
Yeah.
easy.
You probably attain Nibbana
Oh,
doing
what
it.
happens is all of a sudden you know sections of it,
Yeah.
chunks of it.
Yeah.
But 6 sets of 6, what is that?
148.
148?
148, I think, yeah.
140?
I'd almost do that first because that thing is, wow, think about doing that every day.
Yeah.
That'll just blow your mind.
I tried to get some people to do that, and they read it one time and they wouldn't do it again.
Oh, wow.
It takes about an hour to read it.
Yeah, that should do it.
So, got any questions?
I have a question. What are those 32 characteristics of a great man?
That's from another sutta. Roughly, the Buddha was very beautiful to look at, but he had some characteristics of his body that were peculiar. Like all of his fingers. You see how my fingers, one is small and one coming up like this? All of his fingers were flat across.
All of them?
Yeah. When he stood up and just put his arms down, the palms of his hands would touch the sides of his knee.
Whoa.
He had some pretty good arms.
No.
Wow. This particular translation actually is not very good because it talks about things like when he spread his arms out, he was the same height. But when he spread his arms out, if he could put the palms of his hands on his knees, he's got a lot wider reach than he is tall. And so this particular sutta, or this translation, is not very good because of that. It's from the Sri Lankans. And when you listen to the Burmese discourse on the 32 marks of a great man, it makes a lot more sense than what he's talking about. But they said that the web in between his fingers came up to his first joint. He had 40 teeth. We have 32, so he had 4 more, or 2 more on each jaw than we did.
His teeth were perfect. Right?
2 more on
Up top and on the bottom on each side.
on each side. That makes 8. That makes 40. Thank
I'm trying.
you. His color was golden, and if you put a piece of cloth that was gold right beside him, it looked very dull. Oh, his chest was like a lion. If you ever seen a lion's chest, it kind of sticks out and it's very broad and nice looking, and good proportion. Oh,
His teeth was perfectly white.
perfectly.
And the gaps were
There was
completely
no
perfect.
gaps.
In between, yeah, no
Right.
gaps.
Now you see a lot of the Buddha images, and on the top of his head there's like these little knots, and there's a curl of hair. It says that every hair on his body curled in the same direction. His skin was so fine that dirt wouldn't stick to his skin. Now, you can't really appreciate that until you go to Asia and you spend a couple of years there and you look at your own skin and you go, whoa, my skin is really, really fine now. And then you go to a cold country and your skin gets all gunky looking, it's coarse looking. Then you go back and spend some time in a warm country and it gets fine again. No, that's one of the minor things. That's not one of the 32 marks. Yeah, because at the time, well, now that some of the people are starting to do that to their earlobes. They did that as a mark of royalty. And they just kept putting bigger and bigger plates in it, so they got real big. When I was in Thailand, I ran across a lady that her earlobes would come across her shoulder. Yeah, I'm not real wild about that book.
I think that straight flat, the flat feet.
His feet were very flat, and on the bottom of his feet he had, like the lines on the bottom of the feet, he had, it's called a 1,000-spoke wheel. So when he would walk in soft dirt, he would leave this footprint that had a big round thing in the middle of it. He had very, very, very acute sense of taste, and very, very good sense of smell. Oh, what are some of the other
Deep
things?
blue eyes. I've got
Yeah, he had blue eyes. That was really an unusual thing. But he was an Aryan.
divine voice. Long eyelashes.
Yeah. Like a cow. Cow
Like an
has
ox.
real long eyelashes and they really have kind of neat looking eyes. His eyes wouldn't be that big, but the eyelashes are very, very nice looking. And he had a white hair right here that was 2 feet long. And it all curled up, and that's why you see on the Buddha images that little thing, oh, this is a third eye. No, it's a white hair. But his hair was very black and very shiny.
Where's the trunk?
No, I'm not sure.
Riding
I'm
one?
not sure. Even in old age, I'm not sure that his hair stayed black. I suspect that it probably did. Yeah.
So these 32 marks of a great man are basically describing the Buddha. These weren't around before the Buddha.
Well, every truly great man has these marks.
Oh, well, okay. I don't have that.
Well, better luck
Try not
next
to have some of them,
Need a black hair.
There you go. Where do you want him to go?
And he had them since he was born, or they developed after he was awakened?
He had an awful lot of those marks of a great man from the time of his being young, I'm absolutely positive. But that little extra thing on his head, that happens. When you start meditating, that happened to me. My head used to be a lot rounder than it is now.
Huh.
It's kind of pointy right now. But one of the reasons that the Buddha image his hair is like that is because that is the sign of the pineal gland.
Oh, yeah.
And the pineal gland is when it releases all of its things, its endorphins and whatever. That's when you become completely awake.
Can't we just get like in the shop or something?
You can do anything you want. Whether it works or not is another story.
Yeah, that kind of stuff usually lasts about 8 hours. 12.
I can't think of any more right off. His shoulders were very straight when he stood up, and he had no no, his spine was very straight. He didn't have a curve in the back of his neck. It went straight up.
So those are all physical
Yes,
qualities.
that's
all
right.
32.
And we won't talk about some of the qualities.
But in the Digha Nikaya, I think it was that, I'm not sure, but if I remember, that when he was born, the astrologers all gathered around because his
And looked
father
for
was
this-
a king, and they said he was either going to become a wheel-turning monarch or a Buddha. And so they were opting for wheel-turning monarch.
Of course.
But he had all those marks.
Yeah,
Then.
he had a lot of them.
And then there was that
I mean,
one
he
astro-
didn't have any teeth at that time. But that's why there was question of, I don't know which one you're going to
Yeah.
be.
And then there was the one astrologer who started weeping, and when asked why, he said, because I won't be alive when he matures to see this, glorious being, in its fullness. And he was distraught.
Yeah.
Now, he did sleep, right? 2
He
hours?
slept 2 hours a day.
So that means that the attaining the perception, the cessation of perception is not really the same as sleep. Okay. So we still need sleep.
Still need some. Don't push it on getting less and less and less.
Yeah, I've been there, done that, yeah.
You get real tired after a while and it's not so good. The mind isn't so clear. Okay, anything else? Be happy.
We have to.
Yes. Gonna. Let's share some. May suffering once be suffering free, and the fear struck fearless be. May no grieving shed all grief, and may all beings find relief. May all beings share this merit that we have thus acquired for the acquisition of all kinds of happiness. May beings inhabiting space and earth, devas and others of mighty power, share this merit of ours. May they long protect the Buddha's dispensation. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Okay, where does the sharing of merit come from?
Vasilananda?
Oh,
Back in the Parita.
this is the sharing of merit.
It was taken from one of the Gathas, but he changed a little bit of it, so I can always give it to him.
Yeah.
And when I started using it, he stopped using it.
I'll put this one in your coolie, okay?
So
He
what
wanted that to be
dispensation,
Huh?
Buddha's dispensation, can you teach him?
Yes. See, the monks are always supposed to share merit with the devas after giving a Dhamma talk, and they very seldom do anymore. But every time we share merit of giving the Dhamma with the devas, they help protect the Dhamma, so it lasts for long.